The streets are buzzing about this marquee matchup. Two teams placed second in their respective conferences, both with three-game win streaks on the line. Not even Broadway could script a better matchup. The matinee starts now. Welcome to the Takeoff, powered by American Airlines. New York is a city always primed for performances, and this round 14 pairing is a much anticipated show. Hi, everybody. I'm Stacey Pates alongside Mark Stabina. Utah, they won the conference game last weekend, but they barely escaped the Legion to extend their win streak to 3.
Well, and they keep their second position in the West. Let's have a look at how they did that. They were 17 points down with about 14 minutes to go in the match against San Diego. They seem to have it under control, the visitors, but with that pass, they stole it at the death. And, of course, they keep us on the edge and on the brink of a heart attack. Two players worth mentioning that were instrumental in that, as most of their games are Mika Kruse and Mikey Teo. They seem to have a sixth sense for knowing where the other one is going to be and what they're going to do. They're going to be coming off the on against the Weir in New York. Speaking of New York, Connor McManus comes in at starting number 9 in place of Andy Ellis. When you that he's played in the season, he actually comes out on top of Ellis. But starting a game is completely different to coming off the bench and finishing out a game. So let's see if Connor McManus can start the game as well as he's been coming on to do the job against Utah today.
It's going to be a great one. And after this break, we have Brian Hightower and Dan Power. It is live from New York. Up next, Rugby United and Utah.
Showdown with playoff implications. Utah on the road against New York. Dan Power with you alongside former USA Eagle Brian Hightower. And Brian, 2 versus 2 on the standings, but this one so much more than just that, with a playoff spot almost ready to be secured by both these teams.
An interesting day today. Lots of lineup changes. It goes to show that you can't just have 15 men on a squad. You got to have a full 30-man roster. Lineup changes. For New York, no Dan Hollinshead, no Andy Ellis, no Cara Pryor. And for Utah, they're doing it without Teo and Kruse. On the lineup today for Rugby United, you gotta look at Charles Hewitt at right lock. He comes in, he hasn't got a lot of minutes, 6'7", used to be a Worcester Warrior, and has to have impact in the engine room. On the bench, in the backs today, Connor McManus comes in to start for Andy Ellis. Lots of excitement around this young scrum half, and he'll have to lead today.
All right, Brian, let's take a look at the visiting side coming out of Utah.
Well, interesting for Utah, they've kept a lot of their starters on the bench. Angus McClellan, Aston Fortain, Yuri Van Buren. So look for impact out of Saya Uwila. He is an absolute dump truck, and they're going to have to contend with him in New York today. And as far as their back line goes, well, lots of question marks. We'll see how they answer. Fraser Hurst comes in for Michael Baska, and Derek Ellingston has to stand up and have a good job today at inside center. A lot of work to do for both sides.
Okay, conditions here obviously quite warm. The benches will be critical today. Who do you like on both benches, Brian?
A lot more speed on the New York bench, a lot more power in the Utah bench, and we'll see after the 50-minute mark which strategy from both these head coaches, Marty Veal and Sean Pittman, which one's going to pay off.
Here we go, how Rugby Shop match officials. The People's referee, Scott Green, will be in charge, assisted by Luke Rogan and Lex Weiner. It's a big one, folks, 2 versus 2. It'll be Utah on the right of your screen to kick off. New York to receive. As Major League Rugby continues here on CBS Sports, our game of the week. Could not have picked a better one. And you mentioned Connor McManus, Brian, in the open. That's him at 9 right now. He's been working hard all season under the tutelage of Andy Ellis. He gets a chance today to step into the spotlight. Just like that man Harry Bennett did just a few weeks ago. The injury to Dan Hollinshead opened up the doors for the young Australian fly half, and he has taken his opportunity with both hands the last 3 to 4 weeks. Outstanding from Bennett, and really no surprise that this 3-game win streak that New York find themselves on has been directed by that young man there.
A seamless entry from Harry Bennett when he had to take over for Dan Hollandhead. And the same is true for Connor McManus when Andy Ellis went down. And throughout the season, he's come on and had quality moments in that 9 jersey.
Early ball for Ellingson, youngster out of St. Mary's. Taken in the first round by Utah last year in the first collegiate draft. Of course, the draft announced for August this year for Major League Rugby is Vaifale. He was the try scorer that broke the hearts of San Diego last week. An early touch there for the right winger. Now Khalifi. They come wide. Williams. Back in the number 8 jersey today for Williams.
Good mark here, boys. Hold the mark.
Now Hurst looks to find a little space. That one just bounces on the line. Out in the full will come all the way back. A line out for New York. And, of course, Brian, you mentioned Fraser Hurst. He'll be joining the Canadian squad. Michael Basker, the United States squad. We had Dan Christensen on the bench today. But always the threat of Sean Davies, assistant coach. What a number 9, just floating.
Yeah, just might as well float it out there, right? You wonder if he's still in game shape.
Now New York with Tuwaki. Takes it forward. McManus under a little pressure at the back there. Bennett. Now it's Eaton.
Tackle!
Another New York player with international duties coming up as Rochford spills that one forward. That's a great shot. Lance Williams. The Lumberjack just putting in a strong chopping tackle there. It's a territory game again, out in the full. That's 2 in a row for Utah, 2 early mistakes. And we saw just a few weeks ago here for the CBS game, Brian, Harrison Boyle from New England struggling with the kicking game as well here.
Well, first let's take a look at the tackle. And it's just loose handling from James Rochford. He's got to do better with ball in hand. You can't spill that thing when you take a shot like that, even though it's a clean one from Lance Williams. Ball security, important today for New York. But they've gotten a few breaks from the kicking game of Utah, a little bit inaccurate, and some of that may be at that lineup shuffle. Some of the composed heads that are normally out there, Basco wearing the 9 jersey and the 10 jersey in Hagen Schulte, they've had some changes, and sometimes those changes can lead to a little bit of inconsistency, and it's something that you can clean up while you're playing, but they got to do a little bit better as far as their accuracy off the foot.
Go to the outside, it's your only warning. Here we go. Straight to the outside. Here we go. Yeah, we're good there. We're good there.
We'll go down to the sideline to welcome the 3rd member of the team, former USA Eagle and Rugby United scrum half, Mike Petrie.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Brian. Hey, everyone. Just had a chance this week to catch up with the assistant coach from the Utah Warriors, Sean Davies, former teammate of mine. We mentioned him earlier as to whether or not he was going to throw on a jersey this weekend, and he said not quite. But he did mention that Mika Cruze and Mikey Teo would be on the bench, and it was somewhat intentional, right? We realized, I know you had mentioned, and I've heard that the New York team is under a bit of pressure with some injuries lately, so look to see those guys get involved late, and for Utah to really push the tempo late in the game.
Yeah, definitely the bench indicates that. Had a chance to catch up with head coach for New York, Marty Veal, before the game, and kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, you know, hopefully you're still in the game at the 60th minute to make those changes. An interesting selection, but they are looking at probably the back end here, the second half, Brian, to win this game.
Well, and there's a couple of factors that are in play right now in the season, and that both of these teams are going to lose some players to the national team for the July tour. You got to be able to bring young kids in, people with less experience during the season, and you got to give them minutes right now. So some of that might be what both of these coaches have in mind, that you got to get some players in the rotation so that they're comfortable. And down the stretch, you never know. When it's semifinal time, when you got to go to your entire 30-man squad and select that 23-man roster, you got to have faith in your players.
Lubscher there takes that ball. He's brought down. The line out broken up just a little bit from New York. Utah do well. Did well until that penalty there off the feet. And now New York will have a chance, playing into a slight breeze here in the first half as well, to clear this ball into Utah's half.
He kicks this out. Keys in the game. You know, for the most part, Dan, we've seen this season the starting props, Angus McClellan and Franco Vandenberg, have really held up that front row for Utah. But I know Sean Pittman has full faith in Ali Khalifi and Paul Mullen to get things started. We saw the first scrum. They got the penalty for Utah. That's got to be a good sign.
All right, we take a look at our Runner Rugby keys to the game today, Brian.
Well, I think New York thinks that there's going to be some holes in that Utah defense and look for them to maybe target that 10 channel. And as far as Utah goes, you got to keep it in the forwards. Make an aggressive.
Talking of aggressive, how about that line from Thakabalavu? He has been shredding Major League Rugby in the last few weeks. Add that one to his hit list. Another try for this Fijian sensation for New York.
Things have really started to open up from this man from Fiji. Had a difficult start to the season, and a lot of that has to do with the distance he had to travel. Kind of isolated, very homesick. And now he's really settled into his game. And I think the space opening up in front of Thakabalavu, they bought in to the... You know, talking to head coach Marty Veal before, when we talked specifically about Api from Fiji, Dan, and very quiet, very humble. The team didn't know that his wife was having a baby at home. He kept that all inside. He needed support, and the team finally rallied around and made him feel comfortable.
And that try scorer flies high on the restart. Got to give some credit there to Samu Tuaki as well. He's passed back inside, weighted perfectly. Picked up his Fijian counterpart. It's now Bennett into the breeze, low kick. Fielded by Lobsha. The Namibian international, he dances his way back up towards the 40. Now a little opening there. Tuavau, outstanding. Thomas Tuavau has been these last few weeks for Utah. Whippy captains the side today on the left wing. Josh Whippy, former BYU star. One of these great Utah products. Born and raised. Here he goes again, Whippy now down the sideline as Hurst Uhila. He'll look to make the most of a start today. The big man being coming off the bench for Utah. Head coach Pittman giving him the opportunity to start today as now Schulte comes wide. Bellingson back inside. Spills that one forward though, under the attention of two New York defenders.
One of the things we've seen from Utah in the last few weeks is that if plan A breaks down, they have plan B. Hagen Schulte off the boot, going to the corner for Mika Kruse, staying out wide on the wing. Has that foot pass available. You wonder if Cliven Lobser has that in his bag of tricks and what they'll do if the New York defense starts to shut him down, Dan.
We've got the two New York lineouts together. So if you ever get a dead ball, you guys can talk into it.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Early push there against the Warriors.
On the far side there.
It's now New York with the free kick.
Just give me a talk back here.
Yeah, I'll
cue it up and toss to it, Dan. Stop.
Scrum.
And New York will elect to go to the scrum here.
Scrum. Second scrum. Please don't come up to the front row. Stay back here. Okay, yeah. I understand. Okay. Lex, watch these binds on the side, mate. Yep. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Yeah, big push from Utah. And it'll earn them a penalty as well there. Well, interesting decision to call the scrum from New York. They felt like they had dominance from that first one, but Utah turned it around very quickly. One of the things that's impressed me most this year with Utah has been their turnaround in the set piece, in particular the scrum, Brian.
Yeah, and you like to see the reaction there. Olive Khalifi really excited about the scrum so far.
Red is there.
You can see it in his body language. Super confident. And just absolutely wrecking Samo Tawaki in front of him.
Uhila goes high. Maul is set here for the Warriors. They find themselves 10 out from the line.
No, that's fine. Hey, 4 out to go, 4.
Advantage there. You can see Nate Brakely collapsing. And that's the call from Scott Green. And there's the penalty.
4. You can't tackle the maul 4. It's a maul, you've tackled it.
And now Lopes, you would think, again, Brian, to the sideline here, set that maul up, continue to put the pressure on New York.
Number 2.
Just saw the line out there, and Saya Uwila was the target. You got to wonder if his number gets called as the lifted player. If you're a little bit hesitant. He's an enormous human being. Good to have options if you're Utah. Normally, Aston Fortain and Yuri Van Vuren as 2 primary targets. So you got to mix things up and be unpredictable. And for me, it's unpredictable to put Saya Uwila in the air. Did good job bringing the ball down.
From experience, looking at Saya Uhila, he has retired more men than Social Security. He is a big, scary-looking dude. But yeah, I wouldn't want to be lifting. It's a lot of body mass there as we take one last look. They get him up pretty high though. And let's keep your eyes on Nate Brakely here, Brian.
Yeah, and you can see it coming around from the side and then fighting through. But you can't pull that maul down to the ground, and that's the infraction there on Brakely. Utah pumps it into the corner.
Just got hit there, that's your line. Fawcett is down.
It looks like Dylan Fawcett.
The new father, Dylan Fawcett, down. Not sure what he's clutching there.
Who's our vice captain here? So we're going to have to make a decision whether he wants that.
To show you the injury again, it's really red on Fawcett.
Looks like it might be the ribs.
Head inside of it. It's on blue. Say blue. Keep an eye on 3 red.
Just watch here. Keep an eye on Paul Mullen here.
So you're on that last
And just puts his head right into the side of Fawcett. Right into the ribs there for the clean out.
On the last scrum on engage, you went straight to your knee. I gave you the benefit
Just
of the doubt.
full on
to your knee, and I think they gave you a good
charging bison sort of technique there.
We've got to stay up.
Yeah, the old head to the rib trick, huh?
Apart from that, sort that out, then we can go. Sorry? Yes. No, I think it's the other way around. I think you wheeled out and they beat you through there. That's how I saw it. Yep.
A little conversation about scrum time, it looks like. Trying to iron out a few of the creases early on as Fawcett's still getting some treatment. And it's definitely one of the more painful ones too with the old ribs, Brian. It's a not a pleasant experience.
No, and just so awkward to breathe through, to run through.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's taking his time. He's got a rib injury. So
Every time you take a deep breath with a rib injury, it hurts a little bit.
So, I'm assuming we're probably going to replace. But let's didn't get him up.
We'll take a look back at the first try here for New York. Now, here's something that I picked up, Ryan, I found quite interesting. Watch the first line out here in the play that Harry Bennett. You talk about a good fly half. He'll poke and probe and look at the defence. Bennett goes to the line. Watch this. Keeps an eye, sees Tawaki, has a word to Tawaki. Inside is there. Inside is there. Takabalavu. Inside was there. That's great play from Bennett and great play from Tawaki. Great play from New York. Identifying where there was a defensive lap. Not getting overexcited, but noticing it and then exploiting it.
And an example of how you set up one play in the first phase, and then when you come back to that, you know what's going to happen. You see the flow across, bringing the wing off the corner into that fringe area, if you don't have good alignment with the forwards, you're going to be able to exploit that space. Coming on an angle, really difficult to defend. If there's a half gap and you got a full speed Api Thakabalavu, very difficult to stop.
So it looks like Fawcett has succumbed to that injury now. Interesting reshuffle happens here. We'll find out who's come on, but that's an early substitution. 12.5 minutes in these conditions to your front row. Someone's going to have to put in a big shift today up front. As the Warriors, they are inside the 22 and looking to get their first points here this afternoon. Uhila crashes up midfield. Now Khalifi. The resurgence of Ollie Khalifi this year has been nothing short of amazing, and they have dotted it over. Referee Scott Green, he is on the spot and happy. Utah, they strike back. It looks like Malolo getting a few high fives there. We'll get a better look at the replay. But what a hit back there for the Warriors. And now a chance to tie things up. We'll go back all the way to the line-out, Brian.
Well, and it looks like Utah is going to use the forwards, go for the driving maul, but they spin it out first to Ellingson. And now there's space on the corner. Awila tries to take up a few defenders on his own, which he will. Normally 2 or 3 to take down Saya Awila. And then a big run there. About a half meter away and just stretches out across the line. Malolo. And it looks like it's Wilton Hebelo who's come on in place of Dylan Fawcett. Very versatile, the big Brazilian wearing the number 18 jersey. He can play prop.
Options.
The Cochrane curse continues for the kickers here. Another one. I don't think I've seen another stadium have the same effect on kickers as what Cochrane does.
Well, it's all coming to this near touch line, and mercifully that wind is blowing straight into the box here because it's a little hot out there today, Dan, but it's also blowing the ball beyond the touch line as well. It's really hard to judge when you're putting it on the foot, but you just gotta go a little bit shorter today.
Mike's going to come and talk about this.
Yeah. Great. Okay, ball's here. Let's go, guys.
Yeah, Dan and Brian, just another injury worry for New York with Captain Dylan Fawcett going down. It looks like you said, Wilton Rapolo has come in to replace him. I remember when Wilton showed up here in New York, one of the first bits of information I got back from the team was what a fantastic scrummager he is. And so you'll get to see him in action here today. It's an unlucky substitution for New York early in the game, but he's certainly a more than capable player of filling big shoes from Dylan Fawcett.
And Mike, talk about his personality too, because one of the things I got besides his acumen in the front row is just how he's such a lighthearted guy. Really is the kind of guy who can get players around him lightened up and have a laugh. Have you heard anything about him outside the rugby field?
A little bit. They did mention some of that. They keep a lot of those, I think, a lot of those secrets of the team close to heart. But yeah, they did say he brings a bit of levity to the forward sessions. Always good to see out of a front rower, absolutely.
You might get your first taste of going to the dark side. Now you're on the media. No more stories from the locker room from the boys. Try to score a Malolo. He'll have to throw. There he is. Wilton Hebolo will rejoin the Brazilian national squad here shortly.
This is all part of the Sean Pittman game plan for Utah, is just playing rugby in the right parts of the field. Talked to Sean a couple weeks ago, and you know, he was pretty quick to talk about playing in the right territory, not wanting to spend a bunch of energy in their own half, going through phases, that it was kind of wasteful to do that. Get the ball into the corners, get it into your opponent's half, and then let the team go to work.
You see the wind there affecting the throw of Malolo, not straight. Okay, back to the scrum. Of course, the last scrum, Brian, was a big victory for Utah. The New York front row had a chat to Scott Green. They felt they were in the right. So we'll see how this one
guys, the hash is here, mate.
goes down.
The hash is in here. a bit faint. Sorry, my bad. Last scrum, you went down to your knees. We've already talked about it twice now. We've got to stay up here.
There you go. Well explained by referee Green. Tawaki. He'll be the player to watch in this scrum. Him going against Khalifi. Closest to your screen right there. Big number 1 for Utah taking on the number 3 for New York.
Bind. Set.
And what do you do with Tawaki if you're up front? You're going against Olive Khalifi. Dan, I saw some road work in Colorado a couple days ago, and there was a granite boulder that came off the side of one of the hills, and I swear it looked exactly like the shape of Olive Khalifi. He is a mountain. And if he's going forward, how do you stop that?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm actually a part-time rock sculptor, and it is Ollie I'm working on. Get out to Colorado and take a
bit
look.
of Mount Rushmore.
Funny you say that, Brian. I think Ollie has some experience in the construction industry. I'm sure he wasn't moving that boulder on the job site there.
Yeah, he could probably do it himself too. He's a big man. Great guy too, Ollie Khalifi. Of course, we know him from his time with Seattle. Was there the first 2 years in their championship runs, and what a pickup he's been for Utah.
Yeah.
Indeed. You know, talking about this Utah team, there's a lot of players that play in the MLR, and they have side jobs, and they have some part-time jobs. Some of them are full-time, like Nate Brakely, who's playing lock today, as always, for New York. But there's a lot of guys. Thomas Tuaval is one of them. Saya Uwila, Josh Whippy, construction workers by day and rugby players by night and on the weekends. It's a lot to pull off, and it's a real testament to the culture of Utah that guys can work all day and still come and have some fun on the field.
Advantage here for New York. And the penalty.
Well, finally, Khalifi yields. Tawaki's figured out the puzzle a little bit better than the first couple scrums.
Welcome back to Jersey City, Cochran Stadium, with a tightly contested Utah versus New York right now. And I'll tell you what, it is hot on the sideline right here right now. You mentioned earlier that it was Api Takabalavu having an exciting day for New York to start the half. And he's feeling right at home with this warm weather. It was snowing early in the season. But I'll tell you what, it is very hot on this sideline right now. And one factor that could come into play for New York, they split with 4 forwards and 4 backs on the bench. They've already had to use one with Dylan Fawcett going down early with an injury. So only 3 forwards left on their bench with 60 minutes left to play. That could come in big for them later on in this game. Back up to you, Brian and Jan.
Yeah, Mike, quick question for you on that New York. With the bowler coming in that early, is someone in the front row is going to have to probably play, an extra 20 minutes here, put in a longer shift? Who in that New York lineup has that in them?
Yep, so on their bench still, they have Robbie Remescu, who hasn't been used yet. He is a hooker reserve, but can play at 6 or 8. So he does give them some versatility throughout the front row and the back row coming off the bench.
Both teams went up.
You're probably in a scenario, Dan, too, where if Iramescu comes in as a hooker, then Hevelo can switch out to prop. He needs an 80-minute game anyways. He's getting ready for qualifiers for the Rugby World Cup in France in 2023.
Give me a good 5 there, Harry. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, you see that one not straight. Yeah, it's probably going to be Hevelo, right? He's going to end up with 70 minutes here. Be a good 40 at hooker.
Yeah, and I reckon he'll get bumped out. And they still have Sakurai Talaupo as well to come in, but you certainly want to keep a prop on the bench until at least midway through the second half if you can.
Advantage here to Utah. This one breaks up yet again. This opening 20 minutes, the scrum, it's been very hotly contested between both these sides.
Well, we have the privilege of having Sean Pittman, the head coach of Utah, up here right now. I asked him what was happening in the scrum. Utah likes to have a little bit of space before the hit when the two packs engage. And New York likes to actually keep it tighter, and they like to have a wheel if they can get the space between the two front rows a little bit tighter. So look for that battle.
That Tawaki Khalifi battle on this side, Brian, is outstanding. That time Khalifi getting the better, but it was Tawaki moments ago who did the same.
I am just doing a boot there, guys. Okay, we come now, Utah. Come on now. Let's be reasonable. We'll be reasonable.
This one comes down. Malolo, the try scorer.
So play on.
Crabs his way across field, centering things up here. Now Utah come back to short side through Whippy. Little kick through from Whippy, looking to regather himself. It's a flying McManus, though, who sweeps around and cleans up the scraps there in the shadows of his try line. Now Tawaki's. New York will look to clear this out of their 22.
Have to go. Okay, Reed, stay there.
Slow ball at the back. McManus, they'll get the penalty. And timeout as well. Let's take a listen in here to Scott Green as he reaches into the pocket.
3. You can't do that, sorry.
And Paul Mullen,
3 red,
10 minutes
striking.
in the bin.
So
Striking.
side entry is the call against Mullen. And, you know, one of the things that's difficult to do is to process referee instructions in real time.
Just keep your eyes on number 3, Utah here.
It's fine, mate. We're all good now. We're all good.
So watch Mullen.
Hold there.
That was it, guys.
Wow. Not sure what I saw there, but it didn't seem to be a penalty, Dan, that merited a yellow card, if a penalty at all. Maybe we didn't see the rest of that clip, but you'll see players less and less these days arguing their case. Once the card comes out, the decision's been made, and the best thing to do is to get to the bench to start the clock.
It'll be Utah down to 14 now. It's Rochford. High tackle, advantage.
High tackle.
McManus, the offload, picks up Matina, comes off his wing, back for Foden. Foden to Bennett. Bennett with some space. Bennett turning back the clock. Oh, there may be a little dust on the bottle of Harry Bennett, but it's still pretty sweet inside. The old fella, he's got some running in the legs, and another try for New York here. Brilliant stuff.
Midfield scrum and a great move there. Matina keeps it alive. Foden on the spot. And that's just great support play, good offloading from New York. And once you burst that seam, so hard to collapse on defense and cover all of the supporting players.
Or the ball carrier, yeah. So it would have been a penalty only. Okay. So, yeah.
But it all starts from a great read from Chris Matina.
Just inside the post there, outside the post there.
Always difficult to defend against that midfield scrum. So many options on either side.
As Bennett converts his own try. 14 points to 7.
Starts with McManus. He manages to get that arm free. It's great support work from Chris Matina.
And that card for Paul Mullen already proving costly for Utah. Foden under this restart. Picks up greatly. His offload numbers are off the chart this year, Ben Foden. Almost double his nearest competitor in the league.
And talking to head coach Marty Veal before the game about having players like Foden and Andy Ellis and Cara Pryor, a lot of experience on the field. They really change the mentality of the team. They keep things calm. They make good decisions. They don't have as much juice as they used to. Not as much gas in the tanks. Not as much speed flat out. But they're still great decision makers. And having that rugby IQ on the field is always a bonus.
Try scorer Bennett. Kick through there looking for Matina. A little bit too much weight.
Okay, can we come now, please? Yep, come.
Warriors Highlanders will have this line out just on the other side of halfway. One comes down to a vow. This dynamic number 6 for the Warriors as Khalifi back inside picks up Uhila.
Good competition. Play. Let him go. Thanks, mate.
Now Lupsha, wide Ellingson will juggle. Goes down Banasso. Now Bennett spots some space behind the line as Whippy retreats into his 22. He'll pick this up on the hop. Now looks to the old, the torpedo of the Brian Hightower era there, Josh Whippy. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't kick much, but you love to see a good spiral kick.
He'll take the sign here. Yep. What's the matter?
I actually can't remember kicking ever.
What are you after?
That was always someone else's job. I'm sure.
Dan, I think that was your job. Didn't you have some time in the NFL doing some kicking at some point? Have you been giving lessons out in Utah with spiral kicks?
Don't tell anyone that, Peaches. Me and Josh, we have a private agreement. Don't want it public. No, I only kick it away so you wouldn't throw it at my ankles in the next phase. Now it's New York pushing this towards the 22 here. McManus, Leonard loops, now picks up Matina. Foden looking to create a 2-on-1. Utah defends up to the task, and Tuivau comes over, shuts things down abruptly, violently, if you will. And now turned over by Farley. Kicks it through. Lupsha on the chase. Lupsha and Bennett, the 2-10s back there. Bennett does well to get back as he's wrapped up by his opposite number. Spilt that one forward, yes. Great call in there from the whole officiating crew may have got that one. Rogan calling in for green. It was just a little juggle of the ball from Bennett when he landed. Look at this tackle from Tuivau and Foden. Boom.
Yeah, big shoulder from Tuivau. And then the ball just not accurate here in the ruck. And the ball squirts out the side. There it goes.
I understand.
Picked up by Fisher and then by Foley. Nice little boot downfield. Puts Harry Bennett under pressure.
Drop one player.
Resources on site.
Okay, time's on.
And by Foley. Looks like he's going to have a seat.
Come down. Here's that mark.
We've got to get front row in for Mullen, so they're going to have to drop via Farley here until that yellow card expires. Only a couple of minutes left on it.
Yep. And the aforementioned Angus McClellan in now.
Crouch. Bind.
So it does take a player out of the set piece backline attacking opportunity for the Warriors.
Here we go. Angus, just come straight down. Don't take his space. Let's just come straight down on crouch. Yep. Straight down on. Here, look. Here's our mark. Come up to the mark. Here we go. Okay, guys. Into your space. Okay, crouch. Bind. Set. Stay up.
Penalty straight to Utah in front of the post. Down by 7.
No, that's the second scrum there. It's the first scrum. That's the first scrum, yeah. So you can have a second scrum if you want to. Scrum.
Going back to the scrum, Utah settling into this game and feeling the dominance, especially at the scrum.
You wonder how many votes were
Yep.
present there for the option for a scrum. You know that Angus McClellan and Olive Khalifi both voted yes. And it looks like their votes have won out.
Crouch. Bind. Set. Stay up. Work.
Good push here from the Warriors. Williams comes off the back. Hurst, he is an absolute electric player too. Now Schulte.
Open. Stay there. That's good.
First again, just looking for a
Advantage,
little
blue offside.
opening.
Tackle! 18 blue
They
offside.
have the advantage for offside against Cibolo.
You have advantage,
Khalifi. Khalifi may do it all himself. Only Khalifi. Well, he tore the heart out of the Seattle Seawolves 2 weeks ago. He's done it again here, right next to the post.
What a crucial half
call there.
so
We've got the
far
number
for
2 offside
Khalifi.
there,
He's
Luke.
been dominant in the scrum.
The hooker.
We've seen a lot of penalties because of his work at loosehead prop,
Thank you.
and then just the will to get over. And like I said before, once that body starts moving forward, it's going to take a Herculean effort to stop him. Watch it. 2 bodies on him,
Who's
still
who's
stretching.
he?
Takes a third,
Yeah, of
a
course, yeah,
fourth
it's
on
pretty
his
obvious.
back.
Yeah.
Great stuff from the Eagle.
All tied up
Ali
here at
Khalifi.
14 apiece now, Brian. Sorry.
At this point, we've got.
He's run through
3
2
on
strong
3
defenders in
2 on
Tawaki
1.
and Breakley as well, and he's waited. Watch again. He's not running through some outside back weak defenders. He's spinning away from some really good defenders.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Well, and it's keeping his legs under him, so that base is super solid. And that leg drive starts. He's got the balance here to stay on his feet. I mean, you could put half the team on his back. He'd still
Next
carry him
stop
over
is
that
mate.
line.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about sideline.
This one wisely down the center of the field to Ellingson. Tuivau. Look at Tommy Tuivau. Just charging that ball back into the line. Now Jensen, flat ball, McClellan. They've got some numbers. That one forward, it looked flat. It looked quite flat out of the hands of McClellan. Call in there from Alex Weiner.
Okay, thank you.
Deemed that one forward.
Angus.
And a huge break for New York, too. We set up now the midfield scrum again. We've seen how dangerous they are when Utah has to make decisions about how to defend this. Hurst.
Just be patient.
Take
be
red,
patient, boys.
2 about red.
Watch Tuivau on the charge.
Time off.
And this is just looking for a soft shoulder.
You're right there, big fella.
Go forward, get to the gain line, and Tuivau does a great job there off the kickoff. Unfortunate, the pass, a lot of that, Dan, sometimes if you get a bad pass off the top, Fraser Hurst gave Matt Jensen a difficult ball to handle, and sometimes you just pass on a problem. Maybe you should eat it, second guessing, of course, but it gives New York a chance before the half ends. And this is where I like to look at the alignment here. Matina all the way out on the corner, and Fakabalavu all the way out on the corner. It stretches the defense of Utah. It makes them have to defend the entire width of the field right now. And watch Foden and Bennett. They're going to be the ones who orchestrate this move. Where's the ball going to go? Watch those two.
You get a great look on your screen there. Bennett Foden directly behind the scrum.
Yeah, this is the I formation right now. Numbers 10 and 11 or in 15, straight behind the scrum.
Crouch.
You'd have to say they go left.
Fine.
Just 2 Utah Warrior defenders
Set.
on that side of the field, but you never know. They're looking to create the mismatch. Penalty.
You've come straight across. 3 red.
Kickable penalty here too
Straight
for
across.
Bennett.
3 red.
Mullen straight back in off the 10-minute yellow card and is called for a penalty for driving across the face of that scrum.
Just go into your space. Yeah. Give me that picture. Into your space. Go into your space. Yeah. Yeah. For me. Work with me.
Handy kick there from Harry
Appreciate
Bennett.
it.
Now danger time
Any silly free kicks,
for
mate.
New York.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Good.
If they can pull down a line out here.
Please.
And now
Hold the line,
Rochford making
gentlemen.
his way from the field as well. Talafo on. That's going to be a long shift. A big second 40 minutes for that New York front row now, Brian.
Yeah, Rob Iramescu, the only one left available in the front row for New York.
That's good. That's a maul.
Charlie Hewitt flies high and takes that ball well for New York, and now they begin to push, making their way towards the try line.
That's good.
Peels off, still with New York. Ball comes
2
down
on the
Hibolo.
side.
They have the advantage. McManus picks up
7
Leonard.
in the side.
Easy go forward guy. Quick ball off the bat for Leonard.
Be onside here, Rick. Use the ball now.
Tawaki. Talafo. They continue the same way. Sumption. Again the same way, and over they go. Well, Tailafo just gets on the field and gets a try. 7 points under the post for New York. We thought Utah had the last say here in the first half, but New York, they will reclaim the lead with 5 minutes left to play.
Simple stuff here. Just one-off runners from the base of the ruck, looking for soft shoulders to run into.
No, kick. Yep. Let him know.
And a series of good runs. Kyle Sumption had a good one as well. You just want to keep going forward. You want Red to retreat if you're New York. Watch him scramble in defense. You can see the hair of Lance Williams there going all the way to the line. Now one more phase, and you can see Tuivau almost on his knees getting pushed back by Tailafo. Difficult to stop on the line. Watch Tuivau here trying to stop it. Watch him get scooted backwards like he's on roller skates there. And Tailafo just bulldogs him over the line. Important try there for New York to take a lead into the half.
Yeah, Thursday night at 7 Eastern, the WNBA action tips off as the Dallas Wings take on the Fever, live from Indianapolis, right here on CBS Sports Network. 21-14. Tight one here in New York. That one not going 10 for the Warriors. We'll come back to the halfway line.
Yep.
5 tries here in this first 40 minutes.
And watch the restart here. I don't know if this is a missed kick. It just looks like he didn't get enough of the ball, and he just leaves it about a half a meter short of going the full 10.
You go into your space, you come to the left of the mark, you're in your space, you'll find there, okay? I don't
and again, dangerous time here.
I'm just going to free kick you, okay?
For Utah.
Now to be playing around here. So we're happy there? We're to the left, there. Yes. No, you're fine, mate. You're doing well. You're doing well.
Almost 3 minutes left in this first half, and Utah would love to get out of the halftime break with only one score as the deficit.
Set.
That one straight down. Penalty to Utah. Well, the scrum could become the storyline here. Oh, a little back chat will march them 10.
Yeah, and it's, you can see Nate Rakeley comes in. He's trying to have a word with Tailafo.
Yes, man. Right. We shouldn't be communicating with each other like that. If he does it again, I'll send him off the field. Okay? He's gone straight to ground and scrum to the ground. So that's why the penalty. Okay, thank you. Okay, we have blood on 3. We need blood. We need your blood to be sorted because you're leaking on another player. Yeah. You've got blood here.
You're not allowed to leak blood onto another player.
We're sorting it all out.
Very clear cut. Samu Tawaki getting a little attention there. And it's Paul Mullen, who's had a bit of an up and down first half. This time going up against Tailafo. And you can see Tailafo right in front. And now he has a little bit of a kind of an apoplectic reaction to that call. Scott Green, really not a fan of having that kind of interaction on the field, and gives Utah another 10 meters.
You okay, mate? No, he's not bleeding.
Interesting now, if you're Utah, do you take the points?
Okay.
It's well within kicking range.
Number 1, scrumming to the ground.
Or do you pump it into the corner? Schulte sizing up his options right now. And it looks like they're going to go to the corner. Well, difficult in the wind, Dan, as you know from your years as a kicker. Maybe not an automatic 3 with that wind coming straight across the face of those posts. And a great kick there by Schulte. Puts him down inside 5 meters. It'll be a 5-meter line out. Utah, we were just talking about how they'd love to go into the break and not concede any more points. Well, they might go in even.
Let him come down, Blue. Make sure that
there may be one more twist left in this 40 minutes of rugby, Brian. And the Warriors hoping to make it a favourable one as Khalifi goes forward. Hurst.
Early drive.
Have another penalty here. Would not be surprised to see Schulte just nudge this one into the corner again.
Yeah, certainly the plane, you can see all the fingers pointing towards that touch line.
Here's our mark. What are you going to do here, boys? Okay.
And Fraser Hurst says, I'm going to feed a scrum. No, I'm going to give it to Hagen Schulte.
Yeah, scrum would have been a good option too, with the dominance they've had in the scrum that close to the line.
Yep. The early hit penalty was such a lethal catch and drive from this Utah Warriors side throughout the season. And the way to get in front of it, if you're the opposing pack, is to get the hit first when the receiver hits the ground with the ball. But you can't hit him early, and that's what they're guilty of, and that's why there's another line out. So this actually plays into the psychology of New York.
Good. That's fine.
Does it peels off? Oh, Tuivau. That's a little too easy for Tuivau. He'll get 5 points for the Warriors, and now they have a chance to tie this ball game up going into halftime.
Well, like I said, you don't want to have repeated infringements at the line out there. So the head game of not coming in and delivering that hit and drawing the consecutive penalty, and it opens up this space for Thomas Tuivau. Watch him at the back here. He's going to find the soft spot in that New York Mall defense. All the blue jerseys committed to stopping the drive, and instead there's nobody on the fringe to tackle Thomas Tuivau. We have got a ball game here in Jersey City, Dan.
Lobsha now with a chance to send us to the break, all tied at 21 points apiece. 6 tries in this opening 40 minutes. It's been as hot as this weather as the mercury rises over 90.
Give you a 15-second rollout.
Lobsha unsuccessful. New York will go to the breaks 21 points to 19 up. A great first half with lots to work on for both sides.
Yeah, and second half chess match, we've seen both benches, especially for New York, having to come in and play early minutes. They're a little bit depleted in the reserves right now, and Utah is stacked on the bench. That may play a factor in the outcome.
We will step away here from Cochrane Stadium and return. Stacey, Mark, the Geico halftime report will be coming to you live from MLR Studios in Austin.
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Rhino, the official ball and equipment of MLR. Visit rhinorugby.com for all your rugby needs. By OFX. The next time you're moving money internationally, try OFX.com. And by Geico, where 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back. One of the great skylines in the world, one of the great cities, fitting host for one of the greatest games. Major League Rugby continues here at Cochrane Stadium, and it is a tight one as we take a look at the breakdown here, the Midas halftime stats. And interesting to see that territory because, Brian, you mentioned that's the style that Utah wanted to play here, really make New York run it out of their own end.
Yeah, exactly. Well, New York, their goal was to keep the ball, and the possession is dead even. So they're really not playing to the game plan that at least Marty Veal was talking about. Things are going exactly to the script that Utah wants it so far.
Yellow card. Here's the replay of it.
Yeah, we'll make a quick adjustment here. The yellow card to Mullen. If you just keep it, we cut out just a fraction early for those at home, especially the Utah fans wondering why the yellow card. Watch the right hand here, just a little slap on the heel. Boom.
It's the bear paw comes out.
He knows it too.
Yeah, as soon as he does it, he's like, what was I thinking? Can't stop myself from touching his face.
It's the old Rick James joke, isn't it? What the 5 fingers say to the face. What a start for New York. Oh, spilt forward. Assumption stuck the big bear paw. You're talking bear paw. Assumption's got a big one. I think Sakabalavu was the target there.
Well, good start for New York right off the kickoff. Bit of a bobble there. Take a look once again. Just cleaning up scraps. Will Leonard, he sees Sakabalavu. Wasn't a great pass from Leonard.
Now, obviously some adjustments at the break, at the scrum in particular, Brian. It was fairly even in the opening. The departure of Dylan Fawcett certainly swung things in the favor of Utah. As Alexson now takes the crash line outside of his 22. Loebscher will clear.
Oh, that gets caught up in the New York breeze and ends up favorable for the home side there. You know, how sure is Ben Foden and New York about that kick and where it's going? Well, they only dropped one, and it's Foden who's going to play center field back there waiting for the kick. It's a great opportunity for the outside backs to come in and close down the run option while Foden plays center field.
Outside shoulder, and both teams win up to compete. Outside shoulder, both teams win up, scrum.
Yeah, Dan and Brian just had a chance to chat with assistant coach from Utah Warriors, Sean Davies, at halftime. And he mentioned he had a big smile on his face. I said, Sean, did you use any substitutions in the first half? And he said, just the one in the front row when we had to replace Angus McClellan for Paul Mullen for that yellow card. But otherwise, no subs. And this is exactly where we want to be. We're heading into the second half now. We have a full, fresh bench with the likes of Mikey Teo and Mika Cruze. On the opposite side of that, had a chance to chat with Nick Savetta, one of the injured locks that they are desperately missing right now for New York. And he just talked about the fact that in this half, they're going to really need to sort out their set piece. Their scrum's getting pushed around a little bit. They got to work out some of the details to finish this game strong for this last 40.
And Mike, so many permutations that happen. You got a game plan going in. You make your roster. You never know you're going to lose your captain and national team player in Dylan Fawcett in the first couple minutes. And you really got to start scrambling there. And some of it's just bad luck.
Yeah, absolutely. They're down two of their major veteran players with Andy Ellis out and now Dylan Fawcett out. Nate Brakeley is going to do an excellent job. He has been in this leadership position before. He's been part of their leadership group here in New York since their inception into the Major League Rugby. So he is more than capable of doing a job, but with two of your veteran leaders out, it definitely shakes things up a bit.
Yeah, you talk about the culture of leadership. Marty Veal was very particular in his signings. You've got Juan Manuel Leguzamon as well, injured. Andy Ellis, Cara Pry, like these guys who are the leaders in this team as veteran players all on the bench. But now an opportunity for these younger breed or some of the lesser talked about players to step up in that role, Brian.
Indeed. And we talked about earlier, Charlie Hewitt. He's been a line-out target today and doing all the grifting work around the sides of these rucks that you'd expect from a lock that was born and bred in the UK, played for the Worcester Warriors, familiar with those tight spaces.
No
advantage here for New York. Utah player.
That's good. That's a good turnover. No advantage. Red.
Just on the wrong side.
Lance, you've got to clear out of there, mate. Not you.
Bennett to get things going here into the corner. One of their more prolific try scorers is Dylan Fawcett. This part of the field is where he does his best work. So another one of the downsides to losing not only your captain and your hooker, but such a vital part of your attacking weapon in this part of the field. Habolo, will he be the man to step up? Throw is good to Minturn.
Okay, that's one. Get ready to use it now once. Sire, no.
It's your first stop. They need to use it now. Comes down, Leonard. Look at that line from Will Leonard, just crashes in. Warriors, though, may have been a little isolated. Turned over by Tuivau, not legally. Off the feet on the clean out, says referee Green. And now an early penalty here, right near the post.
Stop your feet.
Interesting call here from Bennett. Going to the corner.
Well, it goes back to what their game plan was. Hold on to the ball. Starve Utah of the ball.
Yeah, okay, great.
Also, Dan and Brian, something to be attentive to. They've clearly shown intent to go to the corner each time. That race in the Eastern Conference for a playoff spot is very tight. And don't be surprised if New York is not very aware of that, going for a bonus point no matter what in this game to try to get those extra tries on the board.
It's one of the difficult things, and you know, Mike, having played in this competition, 4 points for a win is probably what you want, as opposed to 2 points for a losing bonus point. But that try there gets them the bonus point for 4, so it comes up. Trumps this time the right call there by New York to go to the corner, and it may be that man Habolo gets it.
Blue. Just keep an eye on it.
Watch number 18, Wilton Hebolo
eventually gets it.
Working out the back, playing the role of Dylan Fawcett there and over the line. Well, we mentioned the bonus point too, but you know, there's another factor at play here, Dan, and that is the difference between hosting a semifinal if you're New York and traveling to a semifinal. What we've seen in this league throughout the entire year, it is difficult to travel. Utah's experiencing that right now. They flew in last night. They got a night in a hotel. They had a postage stamp of a training ground to do their captain's run last night. They're road weary. It's very difficult. I think that's why they've stacked the bench with forwards. It's very difficult to keep your energy level up, play your game plan, and come in prepared when you're on the road.
Well, the purple patch for Bennett continues as that conversion is successful. Perfect off the tee today, Harry Bennett. 28 points to 19. We take another look, Brian, at the try.
We've seen this from most teams in the MLR. They've just gotten a lot better at the driving maul. So difficult to stop. Once the chemistry is there, players just seem to get better and better at driving off of that set piece.
Tuaki, as they look to exit here. New York. McManus has Bennett in the pocket. Goes high. And the breeze has swirled a little around Cochrane Stadium, but Schulte, magic stuff there as he slides on the ground to take that high ball.
Let's just reiterate too, Dan, that there are zero, except for Angus McClellan and Vandenberg now in for Utah as well. They had the full complement, their whole bench available. Watch Schulte, great concentration. And this job here, Lance Williams to pull Will Leonard off his feet so he can no longer compete for the ruck just in time to win the ball.
Step over here, mate. Here's that mark, boys. Yeah. Wait there, too.
Cy Owila. I talked to Sean Pittman before about the minutes that Cy Owila would play, and he said, give me 80 minutes in 40. Give me a full game in the first half and get ready to come off the field. But the big man still involved.
That one forward there. Perfect alignment from where we are to see that forward pass. The timing just off slightly.
Looks like Yuri Van Vuren in, wearing the blue headgear. As here come the replacements for Utah.
And Uhila still on the field at 48. A little juice left to squeeze in the big man. Khalifi, he's punched his tip. What an opening start to this game Ollie Khalifi has had. Yeah, definitely forward that one. Good call from the officials, Tuaki to Panaso.
Some of those execution errors, you know, the game plan for New York is to spread the ball, get the big men involved, try to make the forwards have to spread and tackle from Utah, but the execution, you got to keep the ball. And silly mistakes like forward passes, knock-ons, really hampering this New York team in their execution of game plan.
Be patient, yeah.
Kick through from Schulte there, looking for the bounce, doesn't get it. That one sits up there, a chance. Foden, though, the experience of Ben Foden, right place.
Good work.
Now Bennett goes to the line with runners. Habolo is his target. Vandenberg and McClellan, big hit. Penalty goes to the Warriors, though.
On the ground.
Credit Franco Vandenberg. This is all Franco. Watch the tackle. Here's the run. Watch 17. He goes in. He's got rights to the ball. And no release from New York. Could be a critical moment for Utah. That turnover, that part of the field.
You've got the assistant referee there, Lex White. He could almost take a break. Dr. Balabu is running the sideline for him. He's pointing exactly where the ball's going at every time a kick comes his way. He's been pretty good, too. I'll give him credit, Dr. Balabu. He's been pretty accurate.
Just back out.
As now the drive comes in from Utah, ball to back with Malolo.
Nate. Out you go, Nate. That's down, boy,
Ball
Rick.
sits down now for Hurst.
No, stay out now, boys. Blue, stay.
Picks up Williams. Williams
On the shoulder.
runs into Leonard. Leonard, one of the best tackling centres in the league. They come wide now. Ellingson with a bit of space. Picks up Whippy wide. Whippy jinks his way back in field. He's over the line. Can he get the ball down? No, the defence from New York forces the Warriors back.
Advantage.
They have advantage and numbers to the right. The penalty will come first, though.
Okay, no, wait. Hey.
I'm good.
We're good.
You've been holding on.
We're good. 4, you've come through.
That's our man again, Takabalabu, found himself on the opposite side of the field.
Off feet at the breakdown.
It's good work coming off the far corner from Fakabalavu to get there involved. But I think there was a couple of New York players off their feet at that ruck.
Yeah, number. Okay, sub, blue sub.
Game of rugby's got to be played on your feet, so watch Whippy.
Hey, mate, a lot of penalties down here.
They'll finally get him to the ground.
Also on the first half.
But then players competing for the ball, and they don't have the support of their body weight. There's one right there diving over the top.
That was our boy, Takabalavu.
Yeah, just being aggressive, but
that's fine.
Not in the right body position there.
Good body position here, though, for the Warriors. As they peel off the outside. Malolo again. Repelled. This defence from New York has been strong on the line today. Vandenberg, he has a touch now as he moves the ball to the right-hand side of the uprights. Jensen juggles. Jensen spills it. And that is a big defensive stand here from Rugby United New York.
Well, this is one of those things about Utah right now, and we talked in the first half about what's your plan A and what's your plan B, and I think some of the options for Utah a little bit limited by the personnel they have in the back line. You wonder at some point, do they bring in Mike Teo, do they bring in Mika Crusay, or do they let these youngsters who haven't had as much time in these positions get more minutes? And you could go either way, Dan.
I just feel there's so many unknowns left in this season, Brian. You've got to play to win every game. And until you don't.
Here we go.
But still, the West, technically still wide open with 4 teams.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, L.A. Giltinis seem to be the front runners in the Western Conference, but Austin's still very much in the hunt, nipping at the heels of Utah. San Diego, despite a loss last week, is also still very much there. And so there's only 2 spots in the Western Conference for the semifinals, and I think you're right. I think at some point Sean Pittman's going to have to get on the mic and get some of his more experienced players on the field, especially if they're only coming in for the last 20. Talk about impact. Mikey Teo and Mika Crusay can provide that.
It's a great run off the back there from Minturn to buy some space for Foden. This one, Weiss, he puts it down the middle of the field. The wind strong. Some solid soccer skills there from Schulte as he will turn fire high. Whippy on the chase.
We're good.
Bennett flies high above Cochrane.
Okay, it's lost now, boys.
Now T wide. Leonard has a little space in front of him. Offloads. Matina. Matina breaks one, breaks a second. As the winger makes his way to the halfway line. Now Bennett again. Flat pass. Sumption drops the shoulder. Gets through Williams. McManus plays quick. Oh, Hiller. They're going to let that one play on. There's now Williams with the ball. Fakabalavu shuts him down from his wing.
Fine. No, fine.
By Fale. Back inside. Malolo to the sideline. Boot on the sideline. Well, that was sloppy stuff there. Hard to keep track of what was happening, Brian, from both sides.
Yeah, and I think maybe Van Buren gets away with one here at the breakdown. Scott Green says the ball was out. Kind of 50-50. Watch this here again.
Time's off.
Evan Minturn. And then right there,
okay, we have blood for,
diving over the top. Connor McMahon is not happy about the no call there. Scott Green says ball's out, play on.
I thought the ball was up and lifted.
Fakabalavu does a really good job of dragging Malolo. And Bennett, the return fire from Hagen Schulte. And Bennett is equal to the task, pulls the ball down, very secure there. Good platform for New York.
Teo and Crusay subbing in.
Okay, we're just getting.
Well, just like that,
here on 3.
Mikey Teo, Mika Crusay, on the field for the Utah Warriors. And if there's going to be a spark for the Warriors side, it's going to come from one of those two gentlemen.
Blue line out. Yep.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the best combinations in Major League Rugby.
Hold on.
The bromance of Gitzo and Adam Ashley Cooper is a well-known one. But the one of the future could be this one right here in Crusay and Teo. The next decade, these two could be terrorizing defenses in Major League Rugby and beyond.
You know, it's interesting. I talked to Mike Teo before the game about his relationship with Mika Crusay, and both of them transplants from other teams in Utah now and playing so well together. Mike says, he said, we don't really hang out off the field. We just kind of meet each other on the field. We just share this connection. He said, you know, maybe in a past life we were best friends or something, but, you know, they're not spending a whole lot of time nurturing this relationship off the field, but sometimes you just have chemistry, and these two do, and it's exciting to watch.
Okay, hold here, boys. That's good.
And we are back underway here with Bennett.
Boys inside.
Assumption. Now Tuwaki will take a settler as well.
Okay, we're inside. Blue hole.
Bennett will clear.
Okay, roll on.
Here we go. Teo with space, with time, with Crusay looming up as well.
That's fine.
First comes down this short side. Malolo runs into Leonard. Pass to no one. Crusay headed back to his wing and sees a ball rolling past his feet, decides to pick it up.
Okay, run, stand up there, please.
Now McClellan. They're going backwards here, the Warriors. Lobsha.
Tackle away, Blue, open up. Stay out now, 17. Watch that, stop it. Watch that for me, Luke. Yeah.
Vandenberg gets him headed in the right direction as they pick up Teo. Little kick over the top. Teo needs to bounce. Van Vuren gets the bounce.
We're good there, mate. I think we're really good.
Foden.
Yeah.
He reads it well, the fullback. That's the go forward they may have needed. 14 now in the field. The big South African. The towering Inferno at 6'9". Turns it over though.
Holding.
Great work there from New York. Kyle Sumption. Probably one of the most underrated players in Major League Rugby is Kyle Sumption. To say he is tradesman-like would be an understatement. He turns up lunch pail in hand every single day and gets to work and does great work for New York.
And a lot of what Kyle does well is just selection, right? He's not going to burn calories. He's not going to burn energy on a ruck that he's not going to win. He's not going to stick his hands into something that's not winnable. But watch, 14 goes in. Now the work there. That looks like Fuatai over the top. And it is Fuatai.
It looks like it's about 4.
Kyle made a good tackle.
He's standing there with his hands on his hips. But you know what? Sumption could say, hey, that's what I would have done too.
Play.
That one comes down from Malolo after a short juggle. Bennett almost takes that one. 14 with a chance at redemption. Ellingson.
Advantage.
They have the advantage here. The Warriors. McClellan spills that one. They'll take the penalty. 28 points to 19.
Mark's in front of me. Mark's in front of me. 13.
Just over 20 minutes left to play here. And that one against Will Leonard. Lobsha wastes no time going to the sideline. Some more changes coming in for New York. Luke Hume makes his way onto the field. I had a chance to catch up with my good mate Humey before the games. We take a look at the juggle at the back of the line out there. And Brian Humey said to me, as soon as he saw they put Mikey Teo on the bench, he goes, the only way you stop the most electric player in Major League Rugby is to put the most electric player on the bench against him. A little self-promotion there.
He was talking about himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right. Yeah, because I'd agree.
And as the Warriors find themselves down by 8 here in the second half. New York, they have been incredibly tough at home. Another penalty kicking that one through. Oh, and here comes a level, a yellow card. But probably the nicest man in rugby, Nate Brakeley. He gets a yellow card, and they'll be down to 14.
This was, Dan, something that was legal a couple of years ago. They've changed the laws around kicking the ball out of the ruck. And sometimes you just want to clear it. You're thinking, well, let's just get this going in our direction. It's difficult. With Breakley going to have a seat for 10.
And straight away, they are punished. The Warriors making no mistake to bring this ball game back.
Look at the try again, Red. This is the try.
Yeah, after the kick will be a water break, yes?
You just cannot blink. Watch this.
Watch Mikey. He's looking towards the right-hand corner.
Should have dived around the corner.
He knows there's resources out there. Lobser.
We have a water break
Well,
after
that's
this conversion.
How good Mika Cruze is. He draws Luke Hume, creates that space for Lobser.
Yeah, same boat. I was going to say, we're in the same boat, pedaling along together.
Well, it's a tight one here. Schulte has a chance to bring it within 2, which is exactly how we went to break.
It'll be Clive and Lobsher. Schulte and Lobsher switching jerseys today. Lobsher in the 10. Missed one from a similar position before halftime. This one, a little late bend. Flags will stay down. 4-point ball game here as we step away at Cochrane Stadium. 20 minutes left to play between these two sides. It's New York in the lead, 28-24, right here on CBS Sports. Monday night at 7 Eastern, join Michael Breed as he tees off on the top headlines in the world of golf and delivers tips and tricks to bet at your game. Watch Course Record with Michael Breed on CBS Sports Network.
Take a look back at the yellow card.
Let's take another look at the yellow card.
Yeah, keep your eyes there. The headgear of Breakley, the head wrap, I should say. He's over the top.
Here's what happens. You can't even look away for a second with Teo on the field, can you, Brian? He's just so quick.
Well, and Cruze as well, because you have to account for Teo. You're going to have to put 1 or 2 bodies in front of him. But that's just confidence in your teammates as well. Seeing Cruze just feeling like, well, there's only a couple meters here, and I have faith in these guys.
Thank you. Use.
First now, wide to Williams. Williams plays out the back. Lobsher, they've got some space in numbers here. As Gieselman brings it down to Whippy. Whippy on Matina. Matina bundles him into touch. That's a strong tackle from the former Xavier High School product. Worked under the tutelage of our sideline eye, Mike Petrie as well. Mike,
okay.
Obviously a lot of Xavier guys out here today. A lot of New York flavour to this New York side.
Let's come off, Blue. Red ball. And we come now.
Ratu Vungakoto. I love the story of this replacement hooker, Vungakoto. Got married in August of 2019. Dan packed his bags, not for the honeymoon, but for the World Cup. You got a very forgiving wife. If you don't go on your honeymoon and watch your new husband go on a rugby tour straight afterwards.
Well, here's a good one on the opposite side. Dylan Fawcett, the New York guy, called him after the World Cup to catch up. He was on his honeymoon. I said, don't answer the phone next time, Dylan. Enjoy your honeymoon. Penalty here for the Warriors.
May we all be so lucky to have a forgiving girlfriend or wife, and not both, when it's rugby season.
Warriors find the line here inside New York's half. 4-point ball game as we slip into the final 18 minutes here.
Blue line's that tunnel, guys. Yeah.
The body language on these players, it's like New York looks like a little bit sapped of their energy. They've had to play their forwards a lot of minutes. This is where that chess match of the reserve bench comes into play.
Release.
They loop around Hurst. Lets one go. Hurst. Oh, Matina gets a hand to it. He puts them straight up. I'm innocent, sir. Let's see what the call is here.
No, I didn't see it that way. Sorry, guys. I didn't see it that way. I didn't see any contact. Okay, yeah.
There'll be a line out to New York.
Yeah, it's blue
Matina
ball.
saying he did not touch that ball. It took a deviation. It'll be interesting to take a look The fingertips scraped it.
Keep your eyes on Chris Mattina wearing the number 14 jersey. He's going to come into picture.
Yep. Very good.
The big cutout pass by Hurst.
No, I think he's good.
I think he's fine.
Good.
I think he's right.
Sorry,
he's
Chris.
telling the truth.
Sorry, Chris and the Mattina family, wrongly accused. Could be a Netflix documentary coming out soon. I could be in trouble.
Or more trouble.
Correct.
Stay out.
Minturn. Oh, big collision comes in. Bungakoto.
Turnover's good.
Turnover strong. Williams. Ball comes down now with Fisher.
Luke Hume getting ragdolled twice by a couple angry Utah forwards.
Take that turnover and Hume.
Not quite 10 red. Something over there, I didn't like it.
You mentioned Luke Hume before. Watch the turnover here. Lance Williams comes in. He's on the hunt.
Yeah, gentlemen.
Over the ball.
Spreads up. Yep.
Now, no one in support because they've resourced the previous ruck. Lance Williams gets in there. Now, watch Hume bouncing around. Watch number 8, Williams. Get out of here. And then Bungakoto throws it too. Oh, that is, I'm sorry, Luke, at your expense.
The crowd comes alive here at Cochrane. Willing their side on, up by 4.
Set. Okay, steady.
Two of the heavyweight contenders in Major League Rugby slugging it out here. Sumption. Off the back, picks up Bennett.
That's fine.
Bennett does well to get that back. Now Fuitai.
That's a good tackle there by Gieselman.
Oh, there's a good tackle. Van Buren and Williams.
Advantage, high tackle.
You know, Lance Williams seems to have upped the intensity in the last few minutes here. And New York's got to match it.
Yep.
They've got a 4-point lead. They're playing like they're down.
Yeah, the intensity in defense has certainly picked up, and you can tell New York not too happy about it, but the Warriors have come alive here.
Stand up. Hey, stand up.
Van Buren and Williams, maybe at the back of the alphabet, but they are in the front of the line when it comes to laying hits.
Yeah,
this is that man, 14.
And you can see Connor McManus, he's pointing to his head, and the assistant referee.
8, when I blow the whistle, just stand up, please. Penalties against you for a high tackle.
You wonder here, look at the hits. Doubled up
High
here.
tackle.
Yuri Van Buren. Sorry, Aston 14, I should say.
Earlier big hit blue. Earlier big hit blue.
Watch this hit. This is a double up here. Sumption.
Okay.
And Lance Williams, he is a wrecking ball.
Once.
This is a good call here. Really good call. I like this call.
Well, it stretches the lead to 7. A converted try for Utah to even things up if Bennett's successful here. I like the call as well. There's so many factors that have to go right between here and the try line for New York. If you can get points away from this penalty, it's a good move.
Bennett likes it off the tee. Flags will stay down, though. We remain at a 4-point ball game.
Here.
Back out to the 22.
Just leadership now, man. Good. Yep.
Mike,
Good.
help down there on the field. That effective.
No, it's here, mate. 22's here. Guys, this here, I'm on the 22.
Well, it's interesting.
Okay.
We saw this with the conversion from Loebscher. During the last Utah try, he had the kick lined up perfectly, and it just squirted off to the right, caught the wind right as it was about to go through the post. The same thing happens to Bennett. Pushed to the left by the wind.
Good.
Now Fisher.
You missed it.
Teo under the high ball. That could be a penalty there. Shuitai flies through.
You come off your feet.
Christensen goes.
Okay, you're on now.
That's Christensen with the ball on the field now. You talk about being thrust into the limelight. Christensen, in just 2 weeks, will be the only scrum half on the roster for the Warriors.
It's on the ball. Okay. He's trapped there. We're all off our feet. We're going to scrum down. Red.
Utah scrum. Just
Yeah, you were trapped there.
messy at the breakdown there.
Yeah, scrum,
Ball was not
red.
going to come out. Advantage goes to the Warriors as they were going forward.
Off their feet. The ball was trapped.
Now watch
It was
Teo.
trapped.
Quick tap
He's
here.
off his feet.
He
He's
finds
trapped.
the
The ball
referee.
coming
Goes through the
Scrum down,
penalty. Through the mark, I should say. And then the offload. If Lobser can get that ball from Christensen,
That one I saw clearly. And that
it
one,
is
yeah,
a
I
different
didn't
ball
see.
game right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
But
is that fair?
Christensen
Yeah.
on his way to the ground can't get the offload.
Yeah.
And then
Cross-
stalemate at the ruck. Sometimes, Dan, the bodies pile up. Nobody's doing anything wrong. It's just laws of physics. Ball gets trapped. The team that is attacking
time we got on the,
gets the
the
scrum,
second,
and that's
yeah.
what happens
Three?
here. Utah going to have the feed. Samu Tawaki has played all 69 minutes of this game. He's got to be exhausted. He's lost blood.
Okay.
He's
Carry
lost
on.
sweat.
Okay.
He's lost his
Time on
water.
the bin. Okay.
But
Let's go.
as
Scrum.
we mentioned before, only
Unplayable.
Rob Aramescu on the bench for New York.
Here we go. Here's our mark. We go, boys. Marcus here. To the left. Got that for me, Luke? The side.
Big scrum coming up here for the Warriors.
Crouch.
Still 10 minutes left on the clock here at Cochrane
Fine.
Stadium. Try would give them the
Stay
lead.
up there. Up.
Big push, big scrum from the Warriors. Oh, look at that. Dominant scrum. Christensen at the back.
Dan, I was just about to ask, you know, as a wing, if you ask me, do you ever get tired of chasing kicks? I would say, yes, absolutely. As a prop, do you think they ever get tired of scrummaging? Or is it just something that, like, that's what we do, that's
Okay.
in our DNA, and I'm up for it every time?
It's like a dog chasing a ball, right? It just, you throw it, they'll go get it.
Yeah,
You pack down, they're going to scrum.
right.
And we come, Red. Okay, that's a
Jensen
ball.
up the
Stay
top,
there.
ball is set.
No, you're on the outside.
Bungakoto at the
That's
back.
sideways once.
Look at them just expertly
change your minds,
rolling this
boys.
towards
Stay
the
there.
goalpost.
That's once.
It stalls.
Get ready to use it.
Back line shifts to the left. Goes right through the middle. Bungakoto. He is brought down
Side
just
entry,
inches from the
17.
line here. They go again.
No advantage. Lost forward. Come back.
We'll come back for the penalty, though. The pressure continues
Side
for New
entry,
York.
17.
They stopped the first from the Warriors. Now the
Side
second.
entry.
Side entry, says Scott Green at the
Nate, we're
ruck
back on
from
the
New
yellow
York.
card warning. Yeah, down here. That was on you 17.
Crunch time
Side
here
entry
for
at the
New
ball.
York. 10 minutes left in this match. If they win it, Dan, if they hold on to a lead, they end up leapfrogging Atlanta for the #1 spot in the Eastern
Let's get our
Conference.
set up right. Okay.
For now.
And you can't forget about teams like New England, still very much in the hunt.
Yeah, well-timed bye week for New England for the Free Jacks. They get to sit back and watch. This is a tough game.
Yeah.
It's taking a lot out of both these sides. And
Indeed.
New York will be on the road to New England before this season is over.
Yep. And there's teams out there that can play spoiler. We saw that with Seattle last week. They are poised to do some damage to somebody's playoff off hopes. New England will be fresh next week from a bye week. They want to take one of those spots away from Atlanta or New York. This match has to be closed out
Both sides.
by New York.
And they see an entirely fresh front row for the Warriors.
This didn't go
Tawaki,
anywhere. Both
he is
sides popped up.
72 minutes in.
The ball's at the back.
The
It's not going
thermometer
anywhere.
at
I want you to use it.
93 degrees
Here
Fahrenheit.
we go, gentlemen.
That
Here we go.
it can't be understated, Brian. The shift
Same
that
again, the setup's
Samu
good.
Tawaki has
Push
put in
straight,
for New
stay
York
down.
today is incredible.
Yeah, and he's got to hold up for another couple scrums. But the last one
right
we
here.
saw
I'm not sure
New
how you
York
can see
on
it over
roller
there,
skates
but
and
yeah.
Utah pushing.
No, it's fine. I'm right
They
here.
have
I'm right here.
dominated up front
right
in the
here.
second half. It is an area that New York does not want to be in right now.
Crouch.
They'd rather have the ball in hand and have a much
Fine.
more open, free-flowing game than back to the set-piece contest.
Steady. Use it now. It's at the back. Use it.
Christensen to his left. Teo. Jump step through Bennett. Martina comes in.
No, stay there. Blue.
Now Van Vuren, little step off the
Open
right
up.
foot.
Hey.
So he straightens up. Vandenberg
And away.
with love a try. It's the Warriors again, keeping it in the forwards.
Onside.
A chance to steal the game here from New York.
Huge stop by Nate Brakeley there on the line.
Warriors go again. They're keeping it in tight. Back line is all to the right-hand side of the field. Now Loebsch and Whippy move to their left.
Offside, Blue.
Offside against New York. They're over the line. Can they get the ball down, though? Held up.
No advantage.
Sumption. Hermesais.
7.
Of course, it's Nate Brakeley as well down there. Who else? We'll come here for a scrum. 6 minutes left to play.
7. Offside here.
Offside. We'll go back for the penalty.
Mark is out.
Apologies. Do you elect for a scrum? Do you put them back into the vice grip?
Scrum. Yeah, okay.
Well, it looks like they've opted for that scrum. Much more stable from New York in the last set piece when Utah had to put in. Watch Brakeley launching off the line.
Right. Okay. We're gonna have to take him off to the blood bin until we get that sorted. It's the third time we've had it looked at. Okay, so I need you to leave the field, be replaced. You can come back on.
Well, interesting here because now Tawaki has to leave the field. Scott Green's ushering him off. He won't let him get help to control the bleeding from that head wound while he's on the field. So in comes the last reserve for New York, Rob Iramescu. You imagine that it'll be Hebelo that'll shift to prop.
Here's our 5 man. I'm on the 5 there. Sorry, mate. Here's our mark here. To the left.
They will have access to Tawaki if they need him in the next 5 minutes, if they can control the bleeding. Otherwise, it is up to
Crouch.
Iramescu, Talafo, and Hebelo.
6. Seven, use it now.
Here we go. Scrum is going in the right direction. Christensen darts off the back. Christensen to the line. Short. Repelled yet again. This New York defence has been nothing short of amazing here at the end of this game. Once again, the Warriors from the back. That one spilled forward. What a turnover. And Cochrane Stadium has turned into a power station. The energy from the fans flowing down to the field. And Rugby United, well, if they hold on and win this game, they'll look back at this goal line stand, Brian.
We've seen great tries today from Fakabalavu, from Harry Bennett. This might be the moment of the game for New York. They bent, but they didn't break on the line. They get a fortunate mishandle from Utah, trying to do too much. Maybe set the ball back, let someone else have a go. Concentrated forwards. That was their approach. That was their game plan all along. Keep it tight, and it costs them here. Little bobble gives New York back. Important scrum here. How fresh. Rob Iramescu in the front here with Talafo.
And talk about a debut, Brian. Connor Buckley, local boy. Xavier, Iona College. He is in the deep end, in the proverbial frying pan in his debut, trying to close this game out as Foden will clear this kick. It finds the line, but just on the 22.
Good to see Buckley getting some minutes here for New York. His coach at Iona, Bruce McLean, right in front of us in the booth. He's got to be pacing nervously like a parent.
Contact for Utah, please.
Card 3, Rugby Network promo.
Yeah.
On your cue.
Do what you got to do.
Well, MLR fans, there's been plenty of action here today. If you want more rugby action, the Rugby Network is here. Make sure to sign up for the free service at therugbynetwork.com. And if you miss any matches this weekend, they'll all be available on demand on the Rugby Network, as well as other great highlights and behind-the-scenes content. Some mustn't-miss television.
Line out.
If you're New York, you may have just gotten out of your own in goal, but you cannot forget about the last couple weeks of Utah breaking hearts. Last week it was San Diego. We saw it in Seattle. They can they're capable of scoring as long as there's a tick left on the clock and Mike Teo is on the field. You cannot let your guard down if you're New York.
Well, Brian, you and I called the game in Utah against DC. The last play of the game, 83rd minute. They are the heartbreak kids of Major League Rugby. And they are pushing this ball in the right direction to do it yet again. It's with Williams. Christensen short side. Crusade! He jots it down, and the Warriors, they've done it again. You could not write this. How do Utah keep stealing these games at the death? Christensen, the youngster, he takes the bull by the horns and gives it to Crusade. The two absolute genuine youngsters in this side have got it done, and now the Warriors up by 1.
And the energy expenditure for New York, protecting their own goal line in the last few phases, and then they get the break. There's a little bit of a lull, and then Lance Williams makes him pay for it. That run, nobody wanted to take Williams off his feet, and subsequently rolls for an extra 20 meters, and then there's a mismatch on the corner, one-on-one, Crusade on the blind side. They identify it well, and Utah, well, we just talked about it. Don't leave them a tick on the clock, and look at the bodies. You can see how difficult it is for them. Talafo jogging back. Nobody covering the corner. Nobody at home except for Buckley trying to cover tackle. My, oh my. Well, there's still time for New York, but they need to pull a miracle here on their home turf.
Another miss there from Lobsher leaves the gate open. 1-point ball game as we take a look at our guaranteed rate try summary for the match. This will be the last one on the list. Everything indicates they're going to go left, right? Teo's out there. You've got all the players out there. This one not going to go 10. No, Fuatai, sorry. Fields that one early. And that will take valuable seconds off the clock. As we bring up our guaranteed rate try summary one more time, we'll take a look. There has been plenty of tries.
That was it. Just the video.
We've seen Harry Bennett flirting with that line on the kickoff a couple of times.
Nothing silly here, boys. Push
Just
straight,
needed one more meter in that kick.
Nothing silly
Interesting
here, boys.
time
Stay
here.
square,
Minute
push straight.
and 15 left on the clock. Danny Christensen, well, he may not be that experienced in the MLR, but if he's experienced at all, he will wait as long as he can to feed this scrum for Utah.
I was saying, if you could safely get a reset on this first scrum, if you're Utah, you do what you can to get that reset. As we are into the final 60 seconds here at Cochrane Stadium. A win on the road for the Warriors. They have the advantage too. Christensen keeps it in hand. You want to suck as much time with this advantage as you can.
Stop.
Williams now. They'll come back for the penalty. 30 seconds on the clock.
Blue collapsing.
What a year it has been, Brian, for Major League Rugby. The points differential in these games between sides is incredible. I've never seen anything like it in any league around the world. Teams are barely being separated. Games are coming down to over the 80th minute, week after week. My doctor's just sick of it. He's like, you've got to relax, Dan. You've got to stop calling these games.
On the 10.
Now Williams, tap, settles.
No. Stay.
New York will pour the troops in.
Stay.
Siren goes in the background. Whippy needs to find the sideline. It may not find the sideline from Whippy. It does. Oh, imagine that if it sits up. And the Warriors, they embrace the full-time whistle. They go on the road. A bonus point win over New York. They snapped a 3-game win streak, 29-28. And it all came down to the last moments as Danny Christensen, he found the prolific try scorer in Mika Crusade for our Geico moment of the match.
Well, and watch Lance Williams. Off the top here, it's the rolling maul, but Williams breaks away. And just keeps on trucking right downfield. Makes it to about 8 meters away from that goal line. And then nobody in front of Crusade because all the forwards are concentrated to stop that maul. Oh, my.
Oh, my is right. The league, be wary. The Warriors win on the road, 29-28. When we return, we'll go down onto the field for our guaranteed rate man of the match.
official airline and travel partner of Major League Rugby. By OFX. The next time you're moving money internationally, try OFX.com. And by Guaranteed Rate. You can make your dream home happen. Get started at rate.com today.
Welcome to the recap.
Welcome back to New York and the Guaranteed Rate recap show as we head down to the field now with our player of the match, who is joined by Mike Petrie.
Thanks, Dan. I'm on the sideline here with our Guaranteed Rate man of the match, Lance Williams. Lance, congratulations not only on a great performance, but on a successful win for the Utah Warriors. How big is this win on the road with that tightly contested Western Conference?
It was big. We with the tough traveling and stuff like that with the boys is, getting the camaraderie with the boys and with getting together and just coming with our game plan, stick with our game plan and trusting in our coaches, trusting in our process and throughout the week. And the boys did awesome today. Hats off to the boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And here they come, speaking of your boys. Back up to you, Dan and Brian.
That's probably an appreciated ice shower for Lance Williams on today, Brian. But give me your thoughts. Great performance from Utah.
Yeah, indeed. And they came on the road. It's a difficult road trip to make and hostile conditions here in Jersey City, but they found a way to win at the end. And that's what Utah keeps doing. They keep finding ways to win and using the players they have on the field. Smart play, gutsy play. Today, a lot of it has to do with the bench that Sean Pittman kept on the sidelines for the second half, and it pays off.
And that wraps up CBS Sports presentation of Major League Rugby from Cochrane Stadium in New York. It's the Warriors who run out winners. For Brian Hightower, Mike Petrie, and our entire crew, I'm Dan Power. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of new CBS Sports.